after 9/11, in the weeks after 9/11, my friend John Perosi was actually, he was supposed to be on one of the planes. He was supposed to be on the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. But he had left the night earlier to get to Hawaii. He's a filmmaker, and he was shooting a commercial or something, but he'd flown to Hawaii. And he called me that morning at 9/11, and he said, I'm coming, and he wanted to know if I'd drive with him to New York, because his car was here. He had a house here and a place in the West Village. And so about a week after 9/11, or maybe, a few days after 9/11, it was my girlfriend's birthday on the 14th, and we had already planned to have people visiting from out of town and camp up in the park. And like you were talking about, there were no airplanes, which was so strange. It was so surreal. It was completely like we were on a planet, a silent planet up in the park. And then sometime right after that, there was the Graham Parsons Festival came through town, and I mean, it was planned already, and it was at the saloon, and it was at the Crossroads and the Beatnik, and so there were, and I remember we were all kind of really relieved to see people. I don't know, just here in Joshua Tree, it was a relief to see that there were, it was the first time ever, really, because I'd lived here for several years at that point. And it was the first time where I really saw people kind of like us, people walking in the sidewalks. And everybody was just kind of like, it was the first time that people left LA, I think, after 9/11 to, to leave town and to go hear music. And it was really interesting. And so then John and I got in the car and drove to New York. And we both kind of went there thinking, like I went there thinking, oh, I want to go volunteer, I want to do something. And got there and was just so devastated that even weeks later, and we, like, the night we got there, we went to his apartment, and we were sitting there for like 5 minutes, and we were looking at each other. It was like 3 in the morning. We were like, I have no idea, but I'm not going to be able to sleep. And so we drove down to the perimeter, and we saw the policemen who were just wiped out, and they were on the, around the perimeter of the World Trade Center, and they were really sweet. They were so kind, and they were like telling us, well, you can sort of see from over here, you can't go any farther than this. And the thing that really struck me were, all of the missing posters everywhere. That was unbelievable. And just being there, even though it was weeks afterwards, a few weeks afterwards, and this smell that you were talking about, and I was staying up on 19th Street at my friend Lovey's, and it was like every once in a while, right when the sun was going down, it seemed like the wind would shift, and you'd get that scent, and it was just so horrible. And I was buying T-shirts, and Levy was like, we've got to go to Chinatown and buy some T-shirts, because nobody's going to Chinatown, because it's like so close. So we went down to Chinatown, bought a bunch of T-shirts to send to friends here, and we went to the post office by her place on 22nd, I think it was 21st or something, that post office, and that day, and went up to the counter, and the woman at the counter was wearing a mask, and I said, well, why are you wearing a mask? She said, oh, and later on the news, it was the post office where they thought they'd found anthrax the first time that day. It was just so surreal. The whole thing was just so otherworldly and horrifying. But I just want to say that there was kind of a moment there, Halloween, the big Halloween parade from Christopher Street and Greenwich Village, and people really were out that night, and really, of course, the costumes were brilliant because people spend all year working on their costumes. But there was just one really, Cipro was the drug that was the Cipro, made by our friends at the Bear Corporation, who whole history that I'll share on another day about that. But Cipro was the drug that was the only antidote known for the anthrax, right? And of course, Bayer owned it, whatever. But so there was a show on Broadway, The Producers. That was the big popular show at the moment. Well, just to lighten it up for just a minute, there was someone dressed in well, among the costumes that I saw somebody that was wearing a snow globe, and she was Statue of Liberty in a snow globe, and as she walked, the snow would fall on her. It was so ingenious. It was really great. And then there was a man dressed as a doctor, and he had a sign that said, "We'll trade Cipro for tickets to The Producers." Anyway, that's my 9/11 story. Oh, except, you know what else, Sherry? Interesting coincidence was that Fred Drake's beautiful CD, the Twice Shy album, also we had planned to have the record release party on 9/11 at the Saloon, and of course we went anyway, and so all of the TVs, it was so sweet, because none of us had TVs, you know, being here in the desert. And so it was so surreal because all of the TVs around the bar were showing the buildings, and anyway, so another record that came out that same day was Bob Dylan's record, Love and Theft. Came out the same day. Yeah, and we'd gotten it like at the minute, you know, and the song, can never hear it without thinking of that, but the song where he sings "Summer days and summer nights are gone."
Exactly.
Anyway.
You guys sing.
3 great records came out that year.
Thank you.